Hi, I'm Barb with KCC TV, and this is a really great day for me. I get to be, again, with one of my favorite people locally. Teresa Rahm is the chair of the Koochiching County Relay for Life. And we spent some time catching up with each other a little bit here before we started. And I think we're going to back it up and kind of start from the beginning so we can share as much with you as possible. The Relay for Life event is coming up on
Sunday the 17th.
Sunday the 17th. So we're getting really close to that date. Once this airs, I think we'll be about 3 days out.
Yes.
And it's been a challenge this year for you a little bit.
Yes.
How many years have you done this first?
This is my second year.
Okay.
Of actually chairing it.
Okay. So we talked a little bit about where that challenge came from you this year. Some misconceptions or misunderstandings, maybe?
There is a misunderstanding that the Relay for Life and the American Cancer Society, the fundraising that we do doesn't stay local. So that's the...
Right. That's
the wall.
The wall that you're coming up against. And so people have backed out just based on that thought.
Yes.
Yet there's a much bigger picture to this.
It's huge.
It's a much bigger picture. So we talked about the different layers of assistance here to people that are in our communities, right?
Yes.
So walk me through, because I think you did such a great job of it, the American Cancer Society and how our local community members really benefit directly from any funding that we contribute.
Okay. Your past contributions would be benefited us because we now have mammogram, we now have colonoscopy, we all have this new pre-screening.
Right.
For everything that you can think of, and that's all funded by the money that is raised through Relay for Life, which is the American Cancer Society's biggest funder.
Okay. So that's the technology that we all get to utilize.
Yes. Yep.
Regardless of where we are, really.
Doesn't matter where we are.
Right.
If you get it here, if you get it done somewhere else, it's all funded for you.
Because of the American Cancer Society.
Because of the American Cancer Society and the Relay for Life fundraising.
Right. Mm-hmm. And I think, really what I, in talking to you, what I think I understand better now about the Relay for Life is that it gives us locally an opportunity to come together.
Yes.
To show that we acknowledge each other, we care about each other, and we get the broader support of what this is.
Right.
We don't all live in International Falls or in Koochiching County, right?
No.
So say, we have friends that we probably went to high school with here who have needed these services.
Yes.
They're all over the United States.
And it's covered. If their community has a Relay for Life or not,
right,
the services are available.
Right. So the services. So let's talk about a scenario. Let's kind of play a scenario. You already did that. So if I am diagnosed with cancer, I've already benefited from the American Cancer Society just through the process of the screenings and the testing and the technology that gave me that diagnosis.
Correct.
Right. So then treatment comes.
Yes.
And we move frequently to a larger hospital somewhere outside of our community. So how does the American Cancer Society help me in that process?
One of the really great things that I just kind of became aware of last year was, let's say that you were diagnosed with breast cancer.
Okay.
They would match you with a woman who just survived breast cancer.
She's been through it.
Right, and so she would be there to understand what you're feeling, what you're going through, the questions you have, how things play out. Because, you can do research and people can tell you things. Doctors can even tell you things. Mm-hmm. But when somebody actually felt it.
Right. Speaking from the scary side of the experience.
Exactly.
Which is the place that you're in.
I mean, what a great help would that, you know,
Yeah.
that is such a great help for the person that is
Sure.
newly diagnosed and terrified.
Well, I imagine the entire family is terrified
Yes.
and seeking, you know, so to know that you have someone who has been through this,
Yes.
who's going to give you advice and make suggestions, be pretty darn real with you about it. So you really have your personal advocate, a human being,
Yes.
not the internet, not an app.
Exactly. Exactly.
Right? That you know, really a human being who gets it.
Yes. Yep.
Okay, so they connect you with that person.
The other way they can help you is, I know that you're a very busy mom.
Mm-hmm.
You have kids and you have a spouse who has a full-time job, and you might need to go and have a special test done or a special treatment that isn't local.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They'll actually provide you with someone to drive you to and from
They support that piece, the travel.
your travel.
Wow.
They also, if you have to spend the night, will give you free lodging.
They've got places set up, or probably reimburse maybe, or
They work out a way to, they can reimburse you, or actually the hotel works with them, their
Okay.
partner.
Okay,
And then
okay.
the hotel works with the American Cancer Society to get that taken care of, if there isn't a Hope Lodge in the area that you're
Okay.
going.
Okay. So even just the network that they've developed reaches
Correct.
out to all communities.
All community, all of them.
Yeah.
All of because Koochiching is I Falls, but it's Little Fork, it's Big Falls, it's
yeah.
Ray, it's, you know, I think North Home is even.
We're all
in,
part of this larger
we're
community.
all part of it, yes.
And so I think that's a critical piece to really understanding that the local services here and the fundraising that happens here in our community take on two levels.
Yes.
There's the Cancer Walk that we talked about that has a very direct support with
Yes.
the travel piece as well.
Yes,
And man, does that help.
it does. Yep.
You know, and so then this is that bigger level that then, you know, takes it to that national level, and to that, once you get where you need to go, the technology and the research is there.
Right.
Because without the American Cancer Society, that research isn't happening.
That is correct.
Because it's very expensive research.
Yes.
Okay. I'm really tempted to ask you now about your experience. Tell me how this became a passion for you and why this became important, and then how it's changed from the first to the second year for you, or how it's changed.
Okay. There's a lot of cancer in my family. My grandmother died in 1987. I was 16 years old, and I was by her bedside. She was diagnosed with cancer, and it was really quick.
Okay. And that's what you knew of cancer?
They didn't know. I knew it was awful and that it took people from you.
Right.
They didn't know where her cancer originated from, and it was too far gone
Too late.
to do
To
anything
intervene in
about
any
it.
way. Okay.
So we brought her home, and I was actually right by her bedside when she passed, and it was probably one of the most beautiful things I'd ever seen. So then I heard about the Relay for Life, and it had just started in 1986 or 85 by a doctor who decided to walk and raise money for his own patients
Wow.
because of the cost and the expense.
He saw
of-
what was really how it was
Exactly.
affecting people's their life.
Yeah, and so he walked straight for 24 hours and raised all this money for his patients, and that kind of started the movement. So in the process of when I got involved with Relay the first time in 1987,
Okay. Wow.
I would just like go to the relays, you know, and I'd buy luminaries or make luminaries for my family, and that was my involvement. As my more family members started to pass. A
From the
cousin,
same, from cancer.
all different types of cancer.
Okay.
My cousin had brain cancer. My grandma had an unknown cancer. It's just, there was so much. Aunts and uncles and cousins. One of them had esophageal cancer. Just
So random.
random. It wasn't like one type or anything.
Okay.
So there just wasn't any knowledge about what was causing it, and there was no knowledge of how to stop it. So I've just been involved, and then my dad got the diagnosis, and we were just moving here to the area,
Okay.
and my parents live in Grand Rapids, and so I went to the doctor with my dad after all of the tests and everything, and they told my dad he had 6 months to live. I was there with my mom, and you're actually numb, you don't cry, or it's like all of a sudden
They've given you a timeline.
there's a timeline
To your life.
and
What do you do with that?
yeah, well, he's right here and he's fine. I don't understand.
Yeah.
So they wanted to do chemo, and they took a picture of him before, which I thought was odd and sad. Because I suppose they want to see the progression, maybe? I don't know. But then the doctor, we were like, isn't there anywhere else we can go? So they sent us to Mayo.
Okay.
We had a wonderful doctor there, Dr. Zeldin Rust. He was an oncology hematologist, and he told my dad about a test study.
Okay.
Because my dad had
I bet it was funded by the American Cancer Society.
It actually was.
Okay, that's where this is going.
Yeah. He told my dad that it was too late to save him, but that through the testing, he could save possibly someone else. And it was brutal. My dad was so sick. Every day of PTO I had, we were in Rochester.
Yeah.
Or in Duluth, but mostly Rochester. And it was just torture. The all over burns on his body.
From the chemo?
From this test study drug.
Oh, okay.
So
I didn't realize
it was torture. There are things I can't talk about,
Sure.
but
it was bad.
it was brutal. I wanted it to stop. But my
you're
dad,
like, he has 6 months. This isn't how we want it to be.
my dad said, no, we're doing this. And we did it for 2 years.
Oh my God, 6 months.
6 months, 2 years.
Okay.
So then when my dad made it through the first year, he decided every New Year's he would have a big party to celebrate one more year.
Okay.
We had 7 because of that test study drug. And I always think, I walk in remembrance of my dad, and I walk in remembrance of my grandma and my Aunt Darlene and my Uncle Ron, and I never knew how big it was until this January. We had been invited down to St. Cloud for the American Cancer Society Relay for Life
Like a convention or conference? Okay.
Yep. And so it was relayers from all over
Yeah.
down there. And there was breakout sessions and different speakers and people to get you all riled up and excited, to paint our world purple.
Right.
And we ate lunch, and then a speaker came out, and his name was Aniyanda Bagchi, and he works for the University of Minnesota. And everyone was kind of listening, but we'd just eaten a turkey dinner for lunch, and
Tryptophan was
it was totally. And he had an accent, so it was a little bit harder to understand at times, but he had a beautiful slide presentation. And as he's talking, he starts talking about cancer and a protein. And to go back to my dad was diagnosed with multiple myeloma. The multiple myeloma created this protein that attacked all of his vital organs.
Okay.
So when Dr. Bagchi is talking about this protein and how they've isolated it. Like they can, so like if you're diagnosed with cancer, there's this thing that comes off of the cancer that travels through your whole body and it attacks your body. They've learned how to isolate it with this study.
Right.
And he starts talking about this study and this gene, and the light came on. This is the man who gave all of us 7 more years with my dad. And he's standing in front of me, and like, what are the odds? Like what are the odds? And
You're more likely to get cancer.
yes,
Sorry,
you're right.
Is that cancer humor? I don't know.
I don't know. But yeah.
How unlikely is that?
And he's
telling your dad's story.
he's talking about my dad. I mean, not my dad, but like, I'm sure there were thousands of other people that were on that test study, but
Here you are.
Here I am in a white t-shirt with a Relay for Life thing on it, sitting at a table with my friend, listening. He's like standing in front of me.
And he's actually telling you how your dad has helped the world through his bravery. Sorry.
Yes. Yeah. And through the suffering, and everything all made sense to me at
why
that
your dad held fast.
moment. Like that moment. And so, like, you know how people go, that's what happened to me. It was real.
Yeah.
Well, then we had to get up and shuffle around. They were going to be changing the room up or whatever, and so they had us go out into the waiting area. And I glance up and I see him and his wife and his little child, and I was just so compelled to go over to him. So I go over to him and I thank him for his talk, and then I tell him that my father had multiple myeloma and this secondary cancer, amyloidosis, is what took him. And he said, he put his hand on my hand and he said, that's the MYC gene. So my relay has changed. My relay has changed. I relay for the research.
The future.
Because someday someone will get more than 7 years
Right.
with their loved one because of people like him who are doing all this work in the background.
That is funded.
It's funded by us
Walking around international malls.
walking, setting up in a high school with a, you know what I mean? It's like, it's just so mind-blowing how it's just so much bigger.
It's so much bigger.
And I'm so passionate. I'm more filled with eagerness and passion for it than I was before. And I was pretty over the top before. but now, if I could give people more time with their daddy,
Yeah.
with their mom, with their child, I'm doing it.
Let's take
And
it.
I'll do it by myself if I have to, but I'm going to do
It's
it.
worth a couple laps. It's worth
It's
some
worth
time.
a lap. It's
one
worth.
that- do you know if it'll be you? I mean, you don't.
I don't.
And really, I think that type of thing in the world happens because then it finally comes full circle, and we have that fuller understanding of how something that seems just so like something to do on a Saturday maybe, and to kind of feel like you've done something, that you've given something. You just don't know how those dollars grow and expand as they become invested in the right hands.
Exactly.
And how many of us have benefited directly or indirectly from funds that were raised here or in California, because they don't discriminate with that money either.
No.
They don't say you only raise this much money, you only get this much of the research support.
Exactly.
It is, if you need it, they've got it. And it's because other people like those that walk in every community are giving people 7 more years with their dad.
Exactly.
What an empowering full circle.
I
way
was
to look
meant
at
to
it.
be there. I was
Yeah.
meant to see him standing there in the hall. And there was hundreds of people.
Oh, sure.
And I got to him. And now I relay for him.
His hands, his research, the work, the funding to continue to provide that. Now they've isolated. Now they know they've got this. And now what's next?
Exactly.
It's just continuing to learn and to make those huge jumps.
And I think what people don't understand is that these studies are not, like my dad's medication was not FDA approved. It's none of it is government funded until it becomes something.
Right. So there has to be money to go through this piece.
Exactly. So what we're doing is in our little community, we're doing something to help something become FDA approved and
to fund it
become
until it is, because that's
exactly
very expensive
right.
to be able to, I mean, just think of the process, the expense that goes through for the research, then to create the proper medication, the chemistry, everything that goes into that. And then who knows how much that costs?
Exactly.
Right? And for them to be able to do that research and not have to count pennies,
Exactly.
that's what we can bring.
There right now are 284 discoveries that are yet to be funded
Really?
because there's not enough money.
Oh my gosh, 284. Could be the golden ticket. And our feet, our time, doing Relay for Life
Exactly.
could be part of what gets that. Picks whichever one that is, or whichever dozen or whatever to make that difference.
Look at how far we've come now. I'm probably dating myself, but Gilda Radner,
Right?
she had ovarian cancer. Look where we are.
Yeah.
It's getting caught, it's getting treated, it's getting stopped. It wasn't there for
It was
her.
not.
And it was fast and brutal and vicious. Look where we are with breast cancer. Women are living.
And we're detecting it earlier.
We're detecting it when it's the size of a pinhead.
Yeah.
And that's because of study. That's because of research.
Which is made possible by funding.
By funding. And the funding comes from, other entities, but the American Cancer Society is the largest funder of research.
That's incredible.
So it's so big. It's so big. So they do help us with local things.
Sure. Yeah.
Rides and place to stay.
And an advocate of our own.
Exactly. And if you have a tough time with finance, if you're not within a certain level to get a certain type of insurance, they also help there. But it's so much bigger.
So they can help us
big.
manage it on the day-to-day, the here and now.
Yes.
And then at the same time, they're working so hard so that there's less of us having to have this challenge at the here and now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because cancer is here, and it's ugly, and it's here.
And it's pretty non-discriminate.
It's very non-discriminate.
And
I mean,
it doesn't care.
it doesn't care.
And the other thing is when your body is fighting it, your body doesn't care where that research and funding came from.
Nope.
We do. But doggone it, we are so stinking grateful that something is there to help us try to manage this for somebody who means the world to us.
Just imagine what it felt like to hear you have 6 months left to live. So like, my dad tried to explain it. My daughters, my brother's kids, all of these things he was going to miss. It all started going through his mind and his heart. And this strong, amazing, interesting man was reduced to tears, knowing that it was all going to be gone.
I'm not ready.
But you don't have a choice, is basically what they said.
Right.
But then when we said, isn't there anyone, isn't there anywhere, we're willing to do anything,
Right.
let's send you down here. And there he was.
And he endured what he had to do so that 6 months became an afterthought. But
He
what
got
a
to-
powerful seed to plant.
He got to go to Rosa's graduation. He got to know she went into the military. He got to know Nikki, was going to be going places and doing the things that she did. And he got to go to their concerts and, things that he wasn't supposed to do.
Right.
It was things he wasn't supposed to do.
What do we say? It was 7 years of the gift of every day.
Every moment of every day. Every I Love You Sunday, every Minnesota Vikings game that we watched. And if I didn't watch with him, we would call each other right afterwards. And he always used to say he only loved me on Sundays. And so we had I Love You Sundays. And it was just, I knew that phone would ring as soon as the game was over. Or I knew that or I would be sitting next to him and he would just lean over and say he loved me. And
It's not about
we had 7 years of more. We had, I don't know how many I Love You Sundays that would be in 7 years, but a lot.
Yeah.
And
Over 1,000? No. How many weeks? Anyways, don't make me do
a
math.
lot. No, math
So many.
is hard.
So very many.
But can you just imagine, what was that number I told you of how many people in one day?
1,500.
1,500 people will die today all over the world, in the United States,
It's the United States alone.
of cancer.
Mm-hmm.
1,500 people
Who could have 7 more
who
years?
could have 7 more
Or
years.
whatever that is.
And it could even be more now.
And more years, right?
Yeah.
More than months.
Yeah, more than months or weeks. Some people have had weeks.
That's a lot of I Love You Sundays.
That's a lot of I Love You Sundays.
Where do we go from here?
Well, you could go to the Relive Your Life.
Tell us the date again, Teresa.
It's Sunday, April 17th.
So what are the times?
We're opening the doors at 9.
And it's at the Falls High School.
Falls High School, and we're done at 7 p.m. The goal is to always have at least one person walking.
Yep.
And that is difficult to do when you have a team.
Mm-hmm.
But if people would take that challenge on, just the vigilance for someone that you know and that you love that is battling or has battled
Or may battle.
or may battle. It's here and it's ugly. 1,500. Isn't that what you said?
Yeah. I'll never forget the image you showed me. How do people participate?
If they just, if they're going to be out of town that weekend, order a luminary, participate in the 5K, just make a donation. Many of us that have teams have an online site where you can
Okay.
go. And
How do they get it? Like, how do they get information about this event here in town?
I have I know social media. There's a public page.
Facebook page?
Mhm.
Okay.
It's called the Koochiching County Relay for Life.
Okay.
And it's got a big picture of Smokey Bear with his relay t-shirt on.
All right.
And you can go in there, and there's a link to the Koochiching site, and you'll see all the teams that are listed. We have 9 teams this year.
Okay. So, but there's lots of room for more.
So much room for more.
What does a team have to, like, what is a team? What
A team can
constitutes a
be
team?
one person,
Okay.
a team can be 20 people.
Okay.
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
You can have, we have a bunch of fun games at our booth.
Yeah.
We have bra and bro pong. So, there's bra pong, and then we have the bro, because, guys get testicular cancer.
Right.
And that's huge. And so we have like men underpants, and then they can bounce the ping pong ball into them and then win a prize. There is...
Never lose your sense of humor, Teresa.
We can't.
Absolutely
No.
not.
That's how we get through.
Humor is healing.
Yes, humor is healing. We also, you can have a table, you cannot have a table, just have a team of walking people, just
Right.
people that sign up and say, okay, from 9 a.m. to noon, I'm going to be walking.
Okay. This is my time slot.
This is my time slot.
And inside and outside both walking? Does it?
Last year, it ended up being a really beautiful day, so we
Yeah.
did extend it out the doors and around to the other set of doors so
Okay.
that they could go outside.
Sure.
It just depends on the weather.
Right. But it's nice to have that option.
Our goal is to someday have nice enough weather this time of year to actually have it on the track.
Yeah.
Because
And you really don't know until that morning. And,
You don't.
And with this, from 9 to 7, you said, I mean, that's 10 hours. That you know how weather
Yeah.
changes around here.
Exactly.
Right? And to set up and then have to scurry and, you have to kind of pick your battles.
Right. And I was able to get the Strollen colon and the inflatable pelvis. So you guys can come down and take a walk through my gigantic colon. And
I'm sorry.
it's huge.
I love the honesty of it, right?
It
I mean,
is.
let's not be afraid of this.
No, we can't. And you can take a selfie by a polyp if you want. I mean, it's just like one of those things where you
Who
get
knew?
to see like what a polyp that isn't cancerous. It's all in this
That's
beautiful
incredible.
inflatable colon. Kids love it because they can run through it. It's an arch. They don't understand what it is.
And then some
But
probably like it
adults-
even more because they do understand what it is. I mean, I have kids. Maybe it's just mine.
No, it isn't. And then the inflatable pelvis is really cool because it's this big, cool pelvis.
Right.
And it's an arch, so again,
Okay.
kids love. But up higher, there's pictures of prostate cancer, and it kind of lets guys know where the prostate is.
Sure.
It's not that far up there, so just go get it done. Just go do it. And
Yeah.
because, come on.
I read a statistic not too long ago that said by the age of 75, and men are living longer, right?
Yes.
90% of men age 75, at the age of 75, will have had some form of prostate health issues.
That's correct.
That's a lot.
I lost my father-in-law to prostate and colon cancer.
Okay.
And again, you got to go in. Don't wait until it's all over your body. You have to go in.
Swallow hard.
It's not that
go.
far. It's not that far up. And
Look,
like literally, it's
yeah,
like a
yes, yes.
side view. I know I'm trying not to do that, but I am because it's just not that far.
Right. Go, just go to the doctor.
Just go. Just go.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry if I made you uncomfortable, but we have to be honest and open about it.
I think it's
Dr.
I love
Kanak
it
is
all.
going to be there
Yeah.
at noon, and he's going to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
And Chantel Roberts is going to come and talk about her son Noah and his battle. And if you listen to these speakers, it's all different types of cancer that it doesn't discriminate if you're a child, if you're an adult, if you're a man, if you're a woman, it doesn't matter.
what your age is.
It doesn't matter.
How well you take care of
If
yourself.
you're wealthy or poor, if you're famous,
The
it
other
doesn't
thing,
matter.
I'm glad you talked about kind of the socioeconomic piece of it, right? Because the American Cancer Society doesn't care either.
It does not care.
Doesn't care if you've got plenty of cash to get a hotel room and this or that, or if that is just not in your pocketbook at all, they are going to find a way to fund and help facilitate that. Because the truth of the matter is, you don't know how long that road might be and what may come along with the financial aspect of it when someone's out of work.
Exactly.
And we all try to support our loved ones as much as possible. And you talked about PTO, and it's not just that person and their caregiver. It's an entire family that is taking time to support, and friends. I mean, so.
One thing I would love for people to get the bigger picture, and people who like to go for a ride and just kind of like jump in the car and go, because there are a lot of people like that. I ask that you go to the Mayo Clinic. It is beautiful. It's breathtaking how gorgeous and beautiful this place is.
And there's a reason that they've created that.
But the reason it is so beautiful for us and for my dad is, as he looked around and he saw babies with tubes and toddlers and teens and elderly, it didn't matter. They were all there together getting this amazing technology that is available to every single one of us. Go and just sit and watch. It will change your life. It will change your life. Go before you have to go. Because that is the reality of cancer. That is the
humanity of
it. The human side of
walking around the track.
That's why when you see the little stroller go by, that's why you're walking on the track. When you see your neighbor or your friend whose child or whose spouse or whose husband, dad, mom has battled, that's why you're on the track. You're not on it there's no politics involved in cancer, because it doesn't matter. It doesn't care. We just lost some very famous people.
We politic it up, right? Cancer
absolutely.
You can't fight it with politics.
No.
Right.
It doesn't care. And so, like, the speakers are great. Jill Austin is going to be there. She's so beautiful, and she's going to be there to talk. There's information on different types of cancer that will be available. There's information on how to reach out to the American Cancer Society available. And I'm really honored. There's an author that works for the company I work for who wrote a book called Scarlett Says Goodbye. She gave me 50 books straight from the publisher. And it talks about the other part of cancer that is really difficult and hard, and that we have to explain to our kids. We had my dad's great-granddaughter was there, and hospice came in and played with her and read with her and drew with her. And it is the scary side of cancer, but it is also beautiful, because I saw firsthand how beautiful those people are and what they do. So the books will be available for anyone who needs them, for their children. I will have a table off in a far corner so people can go and get information without it being public, and they don't have to sign up for anything. All they have to do is come find me and say, could I get a book? And I will give them a book. And it's a beautiful hardcover, gorgeous little book where they get to interview their loved ones and draw pictures with them and
create something
that they'll always have. Yeah. So we're covering every aspect of it at the relay.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna close things up here just because I don't know where to go with this without getting more emotional. Thank you so much, Teresa. I got to know so much more about you today. Already a huge fan. And I hope that people really understand the value of putting your time in, supporting those that are walking if you're not able to be there, and how this is about all of us.
It is.
And again, gratitude for the layers of local resources that work together. There's no territorialism in supporting each other, and sharing such a powerfully personal story. It was just really amazing. It was different than I expected it to be. I will make sure that when we put this together, we also have contact information on there.
Okay.
So we don't want people to miss out. And if they do, we'd like them also to be able to find a way to follow up and still contribute if they can. But also, I suspect you may become the resource that people might reach out to just for connections also.
And I have been, and I love that.
Okay.
I love that part of it.
Okay. All right. Thank you, my dear.
Thank you.
Truly. Thank you so much. I'm so proud of you. Thanks, everybody. Hope to see you at the Relay for Life. Have a good one.